Okay, what I did is I just cracked the inner tie rod end loose with this tool called the inner tie rod end tool. But what I did is I don't have a lot of money right now, and AutoZone was going to take 2 weeks to order this special tool. They rent tools out for free, but they only had this little small one which didn't work. So I went ahead and went to Harbor Freight and bought this one. I'm trying to keep it nice and clean, but I already scratched it so I can return it. Yes, return it. Thing cost 50 bucks and I'm not gonna need it after this. So what I'm gonna do, instead of damaging the inner tie rod end anymore, I already cracked this loose, so I'm just gonna use the channel locks to finish it off. I'm getting a new tie rod end anyways. We already have one. So just take this one loose with the channel locks and don't worry about damaging it, because you're not gonna put it back on anyway. So it's kind of hard doing this with one hand and filming it. Do what you gotta do, right? You don't have a lot of money, do what you gotta do. Okay, there we have it. There's the inner tie rod in. Just took it out from inside there. Now next step is to install the new one. Okay, earlier I took off this tie rod end here. This is the old one. And I started to screw on the new one here. But before I did, I wanted to show you a trick for getting something off that is real tight. You're gonna need some leverage, which is this bar. You can call it a breaker bar or whatever, but all it is a big pipe. That's all it is. What you do is you put it on the end of the ratchet, and you use it for leverage, because earlier this bad boy had so much torque on it I couldn't bust it loose. So I broke out with the pipe, and so the pipe gave me a little bit of leverage, a little bit of strength. So keep that in mind when you're trying to crack loose bolts and nuts or whatever. Use the power of a simple tool like this, which is a pipe, breaker bar, whatever. Now I'm gonna take this off here. Okay. Take this off there. I'm gonna screw the rod in with my hand at first, so everything is nice and snug. And then after that, I'm gonna use the tie rod end tool again. Just make sure you got all this nice and snug. So now I'm gonna use the tie rod end tool to tighten that. But I gotta put the camera down again and be right back. Okay, got the new tie rod end there installed. Make sure you check the length on the old one compared to the new one. Okay, get this out of the way. So now, remember that purple plastic part that slid over it? Get that thing back on there. Make sure you don't half step and leave stuff uninstalled. Even though this plastic part doesn't seem that significant, put it on. Came with it, put it back. Okay, now get the rubber boot here. Okay, you gotta take off this nut here in order to put the rubber boot on. Okay, installing the rubber boot now onto the rod. Remember this little part. Keep this in mind. This is like a little vent. I don't know exactly what it is, but it goes on this tube back here. I don't know if you can see this tube. I'm also going to put this tube. This tube connects to the other boot on the other side of the vehicle. So we'll deal with that later. So slide the boot on. Okay. Hold on for a second. You gotta make sure you get this thing popping back out. The end of it. Let me use this bad boy. I'm just gonna pop the end of this out like the way it was. Like that. Okay, see it? There we go. Okay. Slide the boot back in there. Don't forget the vent tube part. Slide it back there. And you're gonna slip it on the back. Okay? You slip it back there. Make sure it goes back there nice and snug and fit. But I'll get to that in a little bit. Next, you're gonna put that nut back on, which is a lock nut to lock the new tie rod end. Remember how many turns we had? We had about 21 turns on this old tie rod end, but we're putting this new one on. So first, I got to screw this back to make room to get those 21 turns. I'll turn this down. Okay. This also has a grease fitting that I didn't install yet, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Okay, the store 21 turns. Okay, let's start with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay? And then what you do is you lock this nut on the back of the tie rod in. There you have it, locking it in place. But instead of pointing straight up, I forgot, you gotta point it down so it'll slip in this hole on the steering knuckle. Okay, be right back. Okay, what I did right now is I just installed this grease nipple right here. Gonna have to tighten it up. I already tightened it, I just wanted to demonstrate. Already tidy, okay. Now install the tie rod end to the steering knuckle. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and grease it. What I have here is a grease gun. This is a grease gun you use to lubricate this tie rod end and many other components. This here also, lower ball joint, and what have we. So, do is install this here, there, and be right back. And just pump the lever and insert the grease. Okay, got the tie rod in full of grease. Now, come down here and install this nut. I forgot the name of it, but anyways, this nut also comes with a cotter pin, which locks it in place after you get the nut installed nice and tight with the proper amount of torque. So let's tighten this up. And as you tighten it, it starts to wedge itself inside here, inside the steering knuckle, because the bolt on the end of the ball joint has like a taper type of deal there, which allows it to squeeze inside the steering knuckle hole here to tighten it, to keep it locked in place. But you still got to also lock it in with the cotter pin here. You just gotta find the hole like that and bend them down. But I'm gonna torque it a little more just to be on the safe side. Okay. Hold on. Okay, almost done. Well, I am done. I just gotta tighten up a few things, but you guys understand what the dilly is. Okay. What I did, tightened up the nut here, placed the cotter pin inside the hole, bend the cotter pin back so that it locks the nut in place so it doesn't come out, the tie rod that is. Then what you want to do, remember this nut back here. This is the lock nut, the tie rod end. This is the end lock nut. What you got to do is tighten that. I already tightened it, but I just want to demonstrate. Make sure you hold it in place with another wrench, adjustable wrench or regular wrench. Then do your tightening. Righty-tighty, and hold this at the same time. Down with this, up with that, righty tight. So next, I'm done here, but next, I gotta install this here, but I'm not gonna do it yet because I have to, if you remember, I have to line up this little tube here inside the rubber part back there. That's why I haven't tightened the boot yet, so I can line it up. See it there? Well, you probably can't, but anyways, that's the end of it all. And here are the tools required in order to finish your project here. Channel locks, flashlight. You don't really need flashlight in the daytime. 3/8 ratchet, wrench, 2 wrenches, breaker bar, which is a big pipe, screwdriver, 1/2-inch ratchet, 18 millimeter socket, needle nose, chisel, maybe not, and a special tool here. I rented this from AutoZone. Take it off, but it wasn't working, so I had to go get this tool. But I'm going to return that like I said earlier. So there you have it. Changing inner and outer tie rod ends on a 2003 GMC Sierra. You can do it. Don't give up.